Hello friends, I'm Rodney.
And I'm Ga.
Welcome to the 6th episode of Back to Basics series, where we give you the biblical answers to all your questions. Well, today Nga has something very special prepared for you. She's going to be answering the question, can I be neutral in my Christian walk? And also, how do I express my stance as a Christian? So Nga, would you like to take it?
Yes, sure. So let's get into today's question. Today we're talking here about neutrality, and this is neutrality in the context of the church, in the context of our workplaces, even school. Understanding that in the world there's this constant tension between good and evil. Today's question is essentially asking us how far our responsibility goes in taking a side. Now, the Bible is very clear regarding this question for one seeking to be a Christian as well as one who is already a Christian. And there are three instances that I will highlight that require us to take a clear stance. So let's talk about the first one. Matthew chapter 12, verses 20. Whoever is not with me is against me, and whoever does not gather with me scatters. For context regarding this first issue, those who are within the family of Christianity must be driving in a similar direction. This requires taking a clear stance for Christ in many situations that we may encounter. So this is with regards to the kingdom of God and all working within it, right? All helping to gather and witness. So this is witnessing, this is ministry, all part of the process of gathering. And if we are spreading a different message, then it means we're doing the opposite. We are scattering. Another verse we could speak of, or the second instance, is Matthew 6, verses 24. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate one and love the other, or you will be devoted to one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Now, this verse, as the second instance, is now speaking to us personally or in our personal lives, right? Not just in the things we witness externally, but our personal decisions that we make every day. Can you wake up, for example, Rodney, every day and decide, I want to have a different surname, or I'm going to partake in a different profession? The answer for these questions is likely no, right?
No.
Yeah. If we can afford consistency in picking what we do daily in terms of our lives on earth, then consistency also in our spiritual walk is required. So we have to pick a side. And then the third instance that we can imagine is the question of, okay, what about neutrality with regards to advocacy, right? Do we have a responsibility to speak up for others when they are being wronged, or should we just remain neutral? As I've heard people say, well, quote, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling, right? A relevant verse here for this third instance is Proverbs chapter 31, verses 8 to 9. Speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly, and look upon the rights of the poor and speak up for them. So now let's change the direction a bit. We've talked about these three instances where we do need a clear stance. Now let's talk about the hows, okay? How is the devil using neutrality, and how do I then express my stance? So now, how far is the devil using neutrality to gain support? It's clear that these days, the evil one seems to coat the bad with the good, and it makes it really hard to tell if something is good or bad, right? This is the new way of doing things. And if you will notice, when it comes to neutrality, people say, I'd rather be neutral because it means I'm respecting and I love a person. So even if I see that something is wrong, by so-called loving them and respecting them, I stay out of it. Now, it's important to note that we can love someone, but loving someone also means truth. And we get this from Corinthians chapter 13, verses 6. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. So that is one thing that we need to keep in mind. Now you may be asking, okay, but then how should it be that I express this stance? And this is important. It requires wisdom, and it is to be done with regard to the environment in which one is in. Our ultimate example here is Jesus himself. In Mark chapter 11, verses 27 to 33, there's an example where Jesus chose not to express or answer the questions of the Pharisees, right? Because they were questioning his authority. Now, he took regard of the environment that he was in, used his wisdom and said, okay, even if I answered these people's question, right, they're still not going to understand, right? But he wasn't neutral. in giving them the silence that he did. He just was able to understand his environment and answer in a way that fits the people. So that's what we should think about when we are taking a stance in neutrality. Take into account, who am I talking to, right? What is the message that I'm trying to relay, right? And one final and important thing that we require, regardless of the environment, regardless of who we're talking to, comes from Ephesians chapter 4, verses 2. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. So that's how I'd answer today's question, Remy.
Wow, you've answered very well. Well, thank you for joining us today, friends. Remember to like and subscribe on our channel in the details below on the screen. And do join us on our next episode. Bye-bye.